Hello, we're going to go through how to graph inequalities. So we've been solving a lot of inequalities. Now we're going to graph them. We're going to see what they visually look like on an XY graph. So there's three steps right here. You're going to want to write these down. The main thing is this right here, number one. You can do it in another way, and I'll show that way. But typically, you are going to always want to rearrange the equation. So y is on the left and everything else is on the right. Then plotting, so you're going to plot y equals line. You're just going to either do the solid line for if we are equal to, and you do a dashed line if you are not equal to, if you're less than or greater than. And then you shade above the line for a greater than or below the line for less than. And we're going to go through a more streamlined process for this as well. So copy these down quick and then go to the next slide. So to graph this, it's really easy. We start at -1. Just like always, we start at our y-intercept, and then my slope is +2, so I go up 2 and to the right 1. Now, before I graph this line, I look at my inequality. It has the line underneath. It's equal to, so I'm going to have an actual line here. And I will draw that through. So it'd be something right about there. And then the next thing you do is I'm just going to choose any point. You can choose any single point on the graph. It just cannot be on the line. So I'm going to choose the point 0, 0. So I have an x and I have a y from that point. So I'm going to plug those in. And we'll see why in just a moment. So if 0, that was my y, is less than or equal to 0 minus 1. So it said in the steps that I have to shade, this is helping us do that. So 0 is less than or equal to -1. That is not true. So this point that I put on there that I chose is not a solution. So my solution is going to be all over there. Now you could also think what's less than, so what's below the graph? Well, I can tell on this what's below the graph, it's right here, but that's not always easily the case. So that's number one. Example number 2, I'm going to go ahead and graph my intercept again, so at 3. And then I'm going to go up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, and I have my line. Now this time, when I look at my inequality prior to graphing, I do not have a bar under, so I'm going to be a dashed line. So it's going to be something like this. Okay. And then I again am going to choose a point to check which side I would graph. Now I could say, well, y is greater than this, so I know I'm going to be above this line, but we can use the point to always check. So I'm going to choose 0, 0 again. It's really easy to do. So 0 is greater than 0 plus 3. 0 is greater than 3. That's not true. Okay, so it has to be on the other side. Since 0, 0 is right there, it has to be shaded in on the other side. Okay. Next, you notice y is not by itself. So I said we always want to rearrange for I. If you remember standard form, we could do standard form. So I'll just go through this one really quick. If I cover x up, I would get y would be 2. And if I cover that up, x would be -4. So I could graph these 2 points. Okay. And then my inequality is already given there, and it shows it's going to be a solid line. Okay. And then I would use a point and figure out the shading. Now, we don't necessarily always want to do this. Okay. Rearranging can be very helpful. It makes it the same problem every time. So I'm going to rearrange. So the first thing I do if I'm rearranging is I get rid of my x. So I add x to both sides. Now, 4 and x are not like terms, so I just have plus x, and I have a +4 over there. Then I need to divide by 2. And I have to divide, since I divided the left side by 2, I divide the right side by 2. So I get y is less than or equal to x divided by 2 plus 2. And you think about that, if we graph this, well, 2 is my intercept right there. And I go up one to the right one. That point's right there. I also have a point here and here. So same thing. And we look at our inequality again to see if it's a solid line or if it's dashed. And then now I'm going to check the point. I'm going to check 0, 0 again. And I'll check it in here. So 0 is less than or equal to 0 divided by 2 plus 2. And so 0 is less than or equal to 2. That's true. If you think about that, what's below the line? Well, below the line is down here. So that makes sense. Why 0 is less than 2. It's one of my solutions. All right, next we again have to go for y. Now I would rearrange this right away because there's nothing there. So it's really easy because I just subtract 2x from both sides and I get y is less than negative 2x minus 4. So I go and graph this, go negative 4, and then it says go down 2 and to the right 1. I'm going to keep going with this pattern to make it easier to graph. And then I look at my inequality. It is not equal to, so it's a dashed line. And then I need to check again. So I can tell from the picture that y is less than, so I'm going to be here. But if you can't, you can always check that point. So I'm going to check 0, 0 again. Is 0 less than negative 4? No, that's not true. And I just put 0 in for x and got rid of it right away. But 0 is not less than negative 4, so it's not a solution. So my solutions are on the other side. Okay? All right, last one. So we have negative 3y plus 6x is greater than or equal to negative 15. Could do the t-chart. Okay, t-chart doesn't work the best here because when I try to figure out what x is when I cover up y, negative 15 divided by 6 doesn't give me a nice number. So I'm not going to use the t-chart here at all. I'm going to go straight to rearranging. So I'm going to start by negative 3y, and I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. So this is greater than or equal to negative 6x minus 15. And then my next step is going to be dividing. And you notice I'm dividing by negative 3. Well, when I divide by a negative number, we flip. And then I go ahead and divide. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 is 2x. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 is 5. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. 5 is right there. Goes up 2 over 1. Over 1. All right. And I did a solid line because we are equal to this. And then I'm less than that. So I know just from looking at it, I'm going to be below this. Okay. So I'm going to be over here. Now, we can also check that point. So I put 0 less than 0 because 2 times 0 is 0 plus 5. 0 is indeed less than 5. So that point right there has to be one of my solutions, and that's why we shaded over here. All right, that is the last of our examples, but just to summarize quickly, and I'll choose a different color. If it is in y and the other stuff is on the other side, so y is less than or equal to or whatever, you go ahead, you plot your y-intercept. Step 2, you use your slope and find another point. Okay, and then 3, we determine if it's a dashed line or solid. And remember that a dashed line is one of those symbols and a solid line is one of these symbols. And then 4, we need to shade our solutions. Or use a checkpoint. All right, that is the lesson for today. You have your homework assignment, and then you are done.